Okay, so Marie, you are always talking about the double standard there is in the music industry or any kind of showbiz industry there against females, the ageist programming that you experience, and I've heard so much of your experience about this, so we're making a video about it today. So let's get your insights on what this does psychologically to the female mind, and maybe we can get to the bottom of why this happens.
Yes. So I've definitely been affected by this in my own experiences, just like you have mentioned. When I look back at some vital moments of my devastation of the ageism program, definitely starts around 25. At the time, I was in a popular band, I was on a record label, we toured, and we were doing pretty good. And when I turned 25, I had this crisis moment of like, oh my God, I have 5 years to make it as a rock star. I have 5 years left. I've got to get all this in 5 years. And then my expiration date is done at 30. And I remember just being so full of anxiety and thinking that I only had 5 years left. I really don't know at the time where that came from because I wasn't thinking about that. I just knew that I had to like do this now, do it harder. Well, 30 comes around and, you know, by that time that band had broken up and I had a different band, still working as a waitress, still bartending. And on my 30th birthday, I just had a full meltdown, blowout, crying at work, devastated that I was 30 and I was where I was, you know. And it goes on and on and on.
Did the clock just reset right there for another 5 years?
I think
Is that
it
what
did.
happened?
It did. It reset another 5 years. But honestly, I kind of let go of those ideals that I had in my mind because I knew I wasn't going to be able to reach what I thought I wanted. So it ends up being okay. But now, when I'm looking back at this whole situation and just how devastated I was and how ridiculous I was being because I was so young back then. Even 30 is so young. So I was like, are these my thoughts? Did I come up with this madness in my own mind? No, I did not, because all of the programming, all of the magazines, all of the MTV Music Awards, all of the music videos and the stars were just beautiful, flawless, young.
Let's try and find the origin of this. Where does it begin? You were flawless, young. You were influenced heavily by MTV, I guess, was still semi-relevant in the early 2000s, in my mind.
I think it was more the programming that happened at a very young age for a girl.
There's also, yeah, there's the cultural stuff that just sort of resonates. I'm sure by the time you were in the early 2000s, there was just sort of an understanding that that's what all the females thought, who wanted to be rockers, who wanted to be in front of a camera, who wanted to, you know, it probably wasn't really spoken like directly. It was more of a felt thing. I don't know, am I wrong?
I mean, it was felt, but it was just what we have been getting fed, probably at a very, very young age. I mean, think about it. Barbie, even. Skinny, hot, perfect, beautiful. I mean, Disney characters. You guys, I could go on. Magazines.
The whole princess being swept away stories.
I mean, I think women kind of like pushed that aside a little bit and we wanted to do things our own way.
That I feel like there's a 50-50 split, right?
Yeah,
that's like the normal, that's the normie mainstream, and then like what was... We're more getting to what was happening in the alternative realms.
Right. The alternative realms were kind of like, we make the rules for ourselves, you know, which is cool, because we definitely do. But we were still manipulated, and we still had to, like, have all of this fear and aging, and I want to kind of go back to the origins of this. Just recently, thinking about making this video, I was interested, so I Googled what women made it after 30, you know, and Patti Smith, 31. Deborah Harry, 31. Sheryl Crow, I think, was 32.
And the internet even sees that as old. That's like a late start. From the outside looking in, that's considered a late start.
Which is crazy. So you can see where this programming comes from. That was a late start. 30 is so young. Honestly, you don't even start making really good music, I think, until you're 30. Or actually, you make great music in your 20s, but you make more profound kind of ideas, and you have more life experience in your 30s.
There's
so
a different charisma.
Yeah, so it's beautiful, you know. But just looking at that, I'm like, wow, so there you go. They consider that to be old.
So a lot of these things that you'll find on Google, like, those are comparing things that are in the spotlight of all spotlights. They're always comparing the all-stars.
Right.
We kind of exist more, you know, on the DIY level, and there's shit tons of people in the DIY level.
So many.
So can you talk about the double standard at that sort of level, at the local levels, where there is still a, you know, like, for example, when we were in Denver, you know, back, this is only 10 years ago, you know, you were playing a show, if there's a female-fronted act, the venue wants female-fronted acts for that bill. And
Absolutely.
that is something that's kind of obvious and everyone sees but never really thinks about in that way. Mm-hmm. It's like females have to play with females. And granted, there's plenty of places where this is changing, but that was still not, you know, not less than 10 years ago, a very prominent way of going about things in the local industries and at the alternative level.
Right. And I would often try to bill myself with other female artists because it was badass.
Yeah.
I mean, and all the girls were like...
Girls rock.
Yeah, and other girls that would get on the show with me, and, you know, we'd kind of put these awesome headlines... Sorry. We'd put these shows together. That was
bills.
Super... Yes, thank you. We'd put these... So the girls that I would put these bills together... we were stoked on it because we were like, look at all these kick-ass bitches, you know? And it was fun. But I think we all struggled. All of us played many bills with just dude bands all day long. Believe me, we did. It was just super fun when we kind of could like share our stories together and what we've gone through as women. But yeah, we all had to work super hard. And I think about, you know, going back to me being in my early 20s, I won this spotlight section in the Westward of best female fronted band, you know, and I was very young, and I just noticed throughout, you know, the years, it was always a very young female that got placed in that category. And it's just because music is...
It's sculpted in a certain way.
Thank you. The industry is sculpted to favor very young, hot, pretty women. And once you do get a certain age, even in your own communities, it's not like they don't like you and respect you. You just don't get on the shows anymore. You don't get asked to play as much anymore. You've kind of been pushed to the side. I have totally experienced. I'm sure all my other female friends that are in music, we have experienced this. And we have to work extra hard just to get the shows. We have to work extra hard to still be seen in that community. And it's not like our friends don't see us and love us, but we're just not the new hot young thing. Where, in my experience, the dudes that have stuck it out and they're still rocking, I mean, they just get the praise. They get all the praise. And they just get better with age. Where I feel like us women just kind of get brushed to the side and forgotten.
This does make me interested in if anyone wants to do the sort of encyclopedia type research or the almanac type research on, you know, big, you know, U.S. cities and their local publications around art and music and subculture and all that stuff, and just look at who is awarded, you know, best female artist or female front women over the past 20 years, and just see what the general age of that person is over the past 20 years. I bet you would not really find many over 32.
Yeah.
I don't know that for sure, but I you know, maybe there's some deep researchers out there who will look into that a little bit further. It's probably not a inaccurate hypothesis.
I mean, and to be honest, I bet you there are some women that do continue to just kill it, you know, and I know some myself. I know some women myself that will...
You are one yourself. You are one yourself.
Thank you. I don't know about that, but I mean that are just they still get asked to play the big shows. They've stuck it out. They're so good too. They're so musically talented that their talent just shines for themselves, and they probably had a very positive attitude too. I will say that, I think when you tend to get down and you kind of tend to get depressed and let these things kind of like make you feel stagnant, you will become kind of stagnant, So I think there are some women that have totally like mastered being positive and just staying in that constant flow of them progressing themselves to stay at that higher level of popularity, However, this is a real thing. And I would like to go back at looking into some of like the quote unquote rock stars that are still kicking ass. We've got Bjork. They mentioned Madonna. They have Gwen Stefani. They mentioned, these stars that have had a very long success in their career. But these women have had crazy amounts of plastic surgery, okay? Yeah, they look like they're 20 or 30 till they're like 60. And then they just look weird from the plastic surgery. But that kind of messaging to young women is not good. That messaging to us women is you can't age. Because look at all this plastic surgery we have. You don't see the men doing this. You don't see Keith Richards caring about his wrinkles, or Steven Tyler. Maybe he has some plastic surgery. I don't know.
Who knows what's in that face?
I don't know. I'm just saying, that these women have modified their bodies, especially their faces, to look a certain way that is the standard of the female aging rock star or movie star. I mean, the movie stars are the same thing. So that is a direct message to women saying it's not okay to age.
Talking about the superstars for just a second, like the Madonna and Gwen Stefani, they came down with the Kardashian effect. Bjork is kind of,
I don't know.
Bjork is Bjork effect. I don't know.
I don't know what Bjork's doing.
If Bjork's got Botox, it's just because she has always been a fan of tight foreheads.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I wonder, like, what do you think? Do you think that things like Madonna's butt and Madonna's, you can search her name right now on Google and find her looking, the meme that compares her to the Saw movies. Like, do you think that actually inspires young people at this point? And I know that there's like a vanity concern with plastic surgery and Botox injections and stuff like that in a whole nother way. But do you think they're even looking at those types of people? Or is it...
I think it's shifted.
Is it detached now? Yeah.
I think it's detached as far as that goes, because it really does look weird. It really does look pretty creepy. So, but I mean, Madonna, unfortunately, yeah, I don't know what she did.
She's Jigsaw.
Yeah, but like Gwen Stefani doesn't even look like Gwen Stefani.
She's got the Kardashian effect.
Yeah, it doesn't even look like
total Kardashian effect.
Like, if you look at the picture from her young self to her kind of aging to herself now, it doesn't even look like Gwen Stefani. And that is just such a weird message to females. So I don't really know. And honestly, I'd like to step away from trying to like compare ourselves to these rock stars and these famous people anyways, because they're just not going to be us. And I think in the new age of music and where we're going is going to be even more detached to that, because it's more about who we are, the stories that we tell, our convictions, our defiance, and our souls, our hearts. I think that's going to be the beauty of the musical future for men and women. I think we're hopefully getting away from that. And I just wanted to touch on the psychological damage that the society has had on me. I've wasted a lot of time worrying. I've wasted a lot of money on just like creams on my face and freaking out, oh my God, there's a wrinkle. It's like, holy shit, dude.
It's true.
I hate it. I hate that I think about these things and I try to turn it off, but it's a program. So I just want to reach out to everybody and say, hey, if you're all having these thoughts, ladies, I don't know, leave some comments to us below. And, you know, let off some steam. I feel ya. I think we just need to be a support for each other and be like, hey, let's age gracefully, you know? It's not about our faces, it's about our music, it's about our message. And the more we can kind of hold on to that is going to be it's going to be so much more healthier for us, and it's going to be such a better message for the younger women that are coming up to become us as well. So, and that's what I want to focus on when I get these negative thoughts in my head about freaking aging.
Is there any other things you want to talk about towards younger artists that you are going through right now that you'd like to share? Or?
Yes, I would say that, you know, to the younger, the teenage girls and the girls in their early 20s, oh my gosh, ladies, don't listen to it. Like, yes, we want to keep up with ourselves and take care of our skin and take care of our hair and our bodies, of course. You know, we want to be healthy. But do not think that you have to look a certain way, or you have to be a certain weight, or you have to have a certain hair color to be an awesome, badass musician. That is just such false programming. And just work on your music, work on your soul, work on your personality, you know? That's what's really going to shine through. And at the end of the day, we're all going to get old anyway. So you might as well just kick ass at being a musician or your art or whatever you do. And don't worry about just the reality of life that we all do get older.
Beautiful.
I think so.
Thanks, Marie. Girls rock.
Girls rock, dude.